Guys, today my fork is ready because we made an awesome shrimp scampi. Check that guy out, man. We have perfectly cooked pasta, perfectly cooked shrimp, if I do say so myself. And those guys are just sauteed in some compound butter, a little bit of white wine, lots of garlic, and man, I am fired up and excited about this thing. And the best thing about it, it took us what, 10, 12 minutes? You can do this, it doesn't matter if it's a Tuesday night or a Saturday night. I'm really excited for you to try it and let me know what you think, all right? Now, let's see how it's done. We're gonna do a quick, fast and easy shrimp scampi, and it doesn't matter if it's Tuesday night or Saturday night. This is something you can do in like 10 or 12 minutes. But the key to that is your prep. So check this out. I have everything laid out here. We have our tomatoes, we have our salt, we have our wine, we have a little compound butter that was left actually from a couple days ago. We have our onions, lime, garlic, a little bit of cheese, stock, pepper, onions, shrimp, fettuccine. It seems like a lot, but it's not. And I'm gonna show you why. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get our onions going because we wanna sweat those out a little bit so that they mellow a bit. And if you have a stronger aversion to onions, or you want it to be a little lighter, you can totally use shallots. All right, so next, those are coming along nicely actually. And they're browning pretty quickly, so I'm gonna remove them from the heat. And then as I do that, I'm gonna take my microplane and a little bit of garlic, and I'm gonna go right in. And what that does is it's gonna get the garlic really, really tiny. And yeah, you can, if you don't have a microplane, that's no big deal. You can absolutely chop it with your knife. But what I like about this is it almost gives you a minced garlic feel, and it will just kind of disintegrate in that olive oil. And then you don't have to worry about it burning or, or being too strong, because we want the flavor of garlic. If you drop it in the pan, just pick it out. Watch your fingers, don't burn yourself. But you just want a little bit of that garlic flavor without the actual chunk or the fire. I'm gonna give this a little stir. And then that garlic itself is going to just basically disintegrate in that olive oil. All right? Back here, what's working is I have a pot of boiling water. I've seasoned it really aggressively because it should taste like the ocean before you put your pasta in it. All right, so our onions, our garlic, they're getting to know each other in the pan. They're browning nicely, they're sweating out. So the next thing I wanna do is I'm just gonna put in a little bit of tomato, and that's gonna give us a nice little hit of acid, but not as much as the lime that we're gonna kick in there. So I'm gonna give this a little stir, a little toss, and notice it's not too much, right? Because I just want that little bit of texture, and I don't want it to be like tomato soup, for Pete's sake. All right, I'm gonna hit it with just a little bit of salt. That, little bit of pepper. Perfect, there we go. Now we're gonna put it back on and give it a stir and let everybody start working. How are we doing on time? What are we at? 3 minutes? Perfect. Next, let's give it just a little bit of heat. I can hear that that's a little hot, so I'm gonna drop it down because I don't want those onions to burn. I don't want my garlic to burn, but I'm going in with a little bit of pepper flakes because, well, we want a little bit of heat. We like a little bit of heat down here in South Louisiana. Give that a stir. Perfect. Love it. So we're at 3. Next, I'm going in with, again with the microplane. I'm just gonna take a little bit of zest from this lime. If you don't have lime, use lemon. If you don't have lemon, well, hopefully you have some lime, right? Drop that in, and that's gonna hit it with just a little bit of freshness. Again, notice how I'm controlling the heat. I gotta put it on, I'm gonna take it off because I don't want it to get away from it. At this point, we're looking really, really nice. Okay, so we have our garlic, we have our salt, we have, we have our tomato, we have a little bit of zest, we have our pepper flakes. Next thing that's going in, I'm gonna hit it with just a little bit of olive oil, or wine, as it were, right? Maybe some for me, apparently. I'm gonna deglaze it just a little bit. That's gonna be like 2 tablespoons, probably max, because I'm not looking to create the sauce yet. This is still just the base for the sauce. Where are we at? 4 minutes? 4.5? 4.5 minutes. Back on. All right, so from here, I've got my pan for the shrimp that I'm gonna start warming up. I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of olive oil, because what I wanna do is, maybe a lot of bit of olive oil, oops. But I just wanna brown that really quick. This is coming down nice, and that looks really good. All right, so I can smell the wine in it as that alcohol cooks off for the wine. You can see it's gonna start thickening up into a sauce. All right, and that's exactly what we're looking for. And that smells good too. All right, next thing. We have a compound butter that has lemon thyme and rosemary in it that we'd used in a previous dish. So this, I'm gonna put right in. And that's probably, sometimes your fingers are the best utensils you have in the kitchen. And that's probably about a tablespoon-ish in that neighborhood. And we're right in that 5-minute range. So that's when I'm gonna pull my noodles. And the worst thing you can do, potentially, is outside of burning your garlic and ruining your dish, is overcooking your pasta. So I wanna be really mindful of this. Check this out. I don't have a full pot that's in a rolling boil. I wanna crank that up just a little bit because, yes, it's boiling, but the last thing you wanna do is break your pasta or throw it at the camera person. So I'm just gonna put it right here. Actually, I'm gonna use a little bit more than that because of the sauce. Let's see. And that's just gonna stack right there. I'm gonna give it a couple of seconds, and then I'm gonna give it a spin. So tongs, see how that's kind of bent down? That's telling me that it's ready just to be folded around. And look at that. Perfect. Oh man, you smell that? Look at that. See how that butter's starting to come in there? It's gonna start forming a beautiful little sauce. All right, so what else are we missing? We have our oil on for our shrimp. Let's see. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna go with, oh no, I broke the olive oil. Fixed it. I want just a hint in there, just a little hint in my sauce. Perfect. I'm gonna keep moving this around a little bit, the pasta. I'm gonna move this around just a little bit. And I forgot my parsley, actually, didn't I? All right, so the shrimp, I'm gonna get that going. I'm gonna grab a board real quick. Put it here, you, off. And before I do that, look how that's thickened up. And look at the rich color of that. All right, so that tells me right now that I need to add in my chicken stock. And that's really what's going to turn it into a sauce, right? And then as that reduces, and not too much because I don't want to drown the tomatoes, I don't want to drown a lot of flavor, but I'm just going to hit it just a little bit. And that is pretty. So I'm going to leave that on for 10 seconds. I'm going to check my pasta because again, I don't want to overcook it, but I can tell by the color, I can tell by how rigid it is that it needs about another 90 seconds or so, which is perfect timing. By the way, how much time do I have? Are we at 4 minutes-ish? Okay, I like that. Shrimp. I'm gonna grab a few of the shrimp. They are deveined. They are looking lovely. And I gotta give a big shout out to our neighbors. Stephanie and Jeff, they brought over a bunch of fresh shrimp, and so we're gonna use them. We'll see if they get any of this, but either way, thank you. Salt, pepper. I'm keeping the seasoning really good. Like I'm gonna season them really well, but I'm keeping it kind of light too at the same time. Just, it's gotta be simple, right? Salt, pepper, flip, because I want both sides. Get my hands, check my sauce, check my noodles, beautiful. Still a little bit rigid because they're fettuccine. You know, if you use, any other noodle, that you have to base your time on that. But either way, salt and pepper, both sides. Season high, good coverage. Boom. All right, so now I can see that my oil is actually just past the smoking point, which it shouldn't be. So I'm gonna have to give that a second. which is fine. You know why? Because, look, my sauce is cooking down beautifully. And I don't want it to reduce any more than this because I still want it to be a little bit fluid, a little bit liquid, and I don't want to, I don't want it to become like a syrup, basically. So I think, let's test this. Yeah, listen to that. Perfect. Shrimp. In. Look how quickly that tail's going right there. Woo! All right. Use your fingers, use tongs. Just don't burn yourself. That's the takeaway here. All right. So I'm going back on the fire. I'm going to move these around a little bit, and we're talking about maybe. Oh, I'm going to drop the temp just a bit. And we're talking about maybe 90 seconds. I want 60 seconds on one side, maybe another 30 to 60 on the other. I'm going to tell by the color. I'm checking my pasta. That's looking like a really nice al dente right there. All right. See the texture of it, but the color is telling me it needs another little bit, which is fine. Here's a quick hint. After you take your tongs out of the pasta water, please don't put them into the hot oil because then you're going to get sprayed. So I'm going to move to a different utensil. All right. I'm just going to use this quick spatula, this fish spatula. All right. Let me see. So I want a nice color on these guys, which I don't have quite yet. But man, that smells good. All right, so while that's there, pasta, my sauce looks perfect. My pasta is really close now. We're finally getting there. How much time are we doing? We got, oh no, yeah, okay. So I'm a little behind, probably because I spend more time talking than cooking, but sometimes that happens. Let me get this guy going. All right, so these guys are coming along pretty well. That's that little bit of brown that I'm looking for, a little bit of caramelization. Give them a little flip. And I do not want to overcook these guys, man, because they turn to rubber. So I want to be really mindful about my temps and how I am cooking the shrimp. All right? So, overcooked pasta sucks, overcooked shrimp sucks. I don't want to do that. Sauce is looking awesome. And, oh, that pasta is good. Look at that. So now we have a perfect texture on that. The color is awesome because I want that al dente. These guys I'm going to push off, okay? The reason being is I don't want them to cook, but they still have just a little bit of time. While I'm doing that, I'm going to grab a colander. Right? Yes. I'm gonna grab this guy and I'm gonna drain the pasta real quick. Careful about your metal pans because these guys get hot. Quick drain. Move any glassware so it doesn't shatter. Apparently I should have done the dishes before I did this. Oh, that's perfect. And then I'm gonna let this drain back into the pot. The reason I'm gonna do that is because I want to save just a little bit of that water. Just whatever drains off here in the last few seconds, I'm going to put back in the sauce, and that starch from that water is actually going to help the sauce stick to the noodles. All right? Let's see. Oh man, the shrimp are looking perfect. All right, I think we are ready. We are very close. The shrimp are going in the sauce. Pasta in the sauce. And then whatever leave-ins are on there is gonna be delicious, man. That's gonna help that stick. I'm gonna set this off to the side. And then, it's a little bit warm. And then we have just a little bit of that water left. I probably should have kept a little bit more, but it's no big deal. Because we have some of the drainage from the pasta itself going back into the pan. All right, put that there. And let's get ready to plate. This is coming along nicely. Ooh. All right, so what we're doing is this. I'm gonna grab up a bunch of that pasta. I'm gonna give it a little twist, just like that. And then going right into the center of the plate. Oh, that looks nice. Shrimps are the star. They're going in. Right there, place them around. All right, beautiful. From here, let me grab a spoon. Why? Because I want more of that. I want more of that sauce. I want that tomato, that garlic, that onion, everything that we just cooked down, a little bit of that wine. I want all that goodness, that butter. All of that is gonna be our sauce. Golly, that looks delicious. And why leave those shrimp out? Let's make it a nice little dish. Come on. A couple more noodles. Perfect. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. All right. Couple more finishing touches. What am I gonna do? I'm going with a little bit more pepper. I'm gonna grab my lime and give it just a little bit more zest right over the top. Because we want that added freshness, that little bit of acid. And then I'm gonna give it a squeeze. Perfect. Couple more things. You know why? Because I'm feeling a little decadent. I'm going out of the box right now. This is a summer truffle cheese that usually you'll do like a parm, but I have it, so I'm gonna use it. One little bit. Again, with the microplane, I don't want a lot, I just want to touch it. Look at that. For that added little bit of goodness. Everybody on the plate. Finally, my good friend Tammy and Greg brought over, I'll shut the door, brought over some beautiful parsley, and I'm just gonna put it right on. A little bit of garnish and a lot of bit of flavor. All right, so from here, we have my version of shrimp scampi over fettuccine, fettuccine. Guys, for more delicious dishes like this, subscribe to Chomp Chomp Chewy. We'd love to hear from you, and we love to share the dishes that we make, and we can't wait for your suggestions because we want to make what you want to see. Anyway, until then, I'm going in.